everybody, welcome to One Drink Podcast, where we talk about one topic for one drink. I'm Matthew, and yes, we are going back to the 80s again. Like I said before, there are so many things in the 80s, and this one is going to bring you flashbacks or memories, one of the two. This week, we're talking about the waterbed. That's right. Let that sink in a little bit. And yeah, we're talking about the waterbed. So you could ask you may know about the waterbed, been in one. Or if you're young and you don't know what a waterbed is, ask your parents, and I can guarantee you that they have owned or been in a waterbed. Now, let's not get it confused. The waterbed was not invented in 1980. This is just when it became very, very, very popular. And I mean popular. So the first waterbed was invented in 1833. So, you know, it's been around for some time, but it was invented by a Scottish physician, Neil Arnett, to prevent bed sores. The waterbed took off and were placed in hospitals around the world. In 1871, Mark Twain described them in a church home in Elmira, New York, in an article. So, it's cool that Mark Twain got to be in a waterbed. And second of all, I mentioned that because it's kind of local, Elmira, New York. So, you know, I thought I had to throw that in there. And, yeah. And so back in the day, you know, they're trying to come up with a name for the waterbed. I mean, I'm glad they kept it simple. But it was briefly called the Pleasure Pit. Now, I'm glad that they got rid of that name because it just sounds weird to me. Pleasure Pit? You're in the... I mean, whatever. So I'm glad that they went back to the original waterbed. So yes, 1980s, the waterbed was super popular. Now, everyone listen, I remember my parents got one, and as soon as they got one, my older brothers got one, and then, you know, my neighbors got one. Everyone I knew was getting these waterbeds. It was so crazy. Yeah, so in the 80s, they were super popular. That's when they started, you know, it was like 83 to 85, somewhere in around there. Everyone just, it was the new fad back then. You know, instead of the same old mattress, oh, you want to get a mattress. They were like, waterbed? Oh, wow. I'm going to get a waterbed. So yes, everyone did get a waterbed. So from what I remember, what a pain in the ass it was to fill it, because you needed to drag a hose from wherever, outside or inside, and you had to fill it. It took forever. What a pain in the ass it was if there was a leak, because as soon as you get this, and also before the leak, you had to build this thing around it to put the waterbed in. It's like building a little mini pool. So you had to build that, and it had the headboard. The most popular one was the one where the wood, it was all wood. Oh my God, this is just bringing back so many memories. And I'm sure that all of you watching this have seen or been in this same waterbed with the wood paneling, and so funny. But yeah, what a pain in the ass it was when there was a leak. And now listen, every waterbed at one point got a leak. If you had kids, we were jumping on it. We had toys. We had sharp objects, you know, these toys stabbing into it. Just the sheer fact of jumping on this. Oh my God. So yeah, in all, the waterbed it was comfortable, I guess, at first. It just felt like I was floating when I would lay on one. I remember when my parents or my brother had one, I would always be like, oh, I want to go lay on the waterbed. I want to lay on the waterbed, just because it was new. But In my mind, you know, if you have an apartment or a house, how many of these waterbeds destroyed houses? Now, yeah, they were all great and dandy when it was working, but when that thing popped or had a leak and it just slowly leaked on the rug, because back then rugs were everywhere, ruin the rug. And then if it exploded completely, it just ruined your whole floor and your whole house. And if you lived in an apartment, I'm sure it would leak down below. Oh man, so these things, it was just a pain in the ass, like I said earlier. There was nothing good about these things. And, you know, some people may have found them comfortable, but I'm not sure if they were the most comfortable things in the world. Now they got, you know, memory foam and all that. And I think they still might use waterbeds a little bit, not as big as it was back then. But also in my mind, I'm wondering, you know how fads come and go? You know, clothing comes back, mullets come back, everything comes back. I'm wondering if the waterbed will ever make a comeback. What do you think? Would you get one? Because I know I wouldn't. Not after all that I just said about a waterbed. Oh my God. But yeah, they were the greatest thing in the 80s. Though they were mostly associated with the bachelor pads and certain types of an adult entertainment, waterbeds enjoyed the wave of mainstream popularity in the 80s. Kids and adults loved the sloshing, floating sensation and the idea of sleeping on waves, and more waterbeds made their way into the suburb bedrooms than ever before. So yeah, that's basically what it is. You just felt like you were in a pool, you know, just sitting there tanning or whatever. So funny. By 1987, waterbeds became a $2 billion industry and accounted for 1 out of every 5 mattresses sold in the United States. So that's what I'm saying, like at the time, $2 billion. That is a huge, huge moneymaker. Sorry, the stupid phone, it never stops going off. Yeah, so $2 billion. Now, that's how popular these things were. I mean, there was a waterbed in almost every other home in the United States. So crazy. They're really fun. They were also very impractical. They weighed several hundred pounds. You had to fill them up by running a hose into the bedroom. Nothing can go wrong with that, right? Your bed could spring a leak, and they were banned in many apartments and dorm rooms. So eventually, these did get banned in apartments and in dorms, which I don't blame them, because especially at a dorm, I mean, your college life is college life. Use your imagination, but these things were just getting destroyed. So at one point, waterbeds was a huge thing of the 80s. So yeah, let me know if you have any funny stories about waterbeds, or if you had a waterbed. I'm sure you did, and if not, I'm sure you knew someone that did, because $2 billion, I mean, you knew someone who had a waterbed. So yes, that is my back to the 80s subject for today, the waterbed. God, I'm still having flashbacks and memories of the waterbed. So you can follow us on YouTube. You can listen to our beautiful voices on all major platforms podcasts are played. Thank you for watching, and until the next time when we discuss back to the 80s, I don't know what it's going to be. I like to come up with crazy, weird, random stuff. There are a lot of mainstream stuff for the 80s, but you know, there's so much stuff. There's going to be so many shows that I'll definitely be back. And if you want to be a guest on the show, come on. If you have any ideas for the show, let me know. You can also email the show. Email link below. Tell us a funny story. Comment on the show, comment about us, anything. Write us some funny stuff. We like to hear funny, random, weird stuff. Until next time, see ya.